Well, hello. I'm in the shop today. Got kind of a mess. Got ice fishing stuff cleaned up for the year, or getting it cleaned up for the year, and decided I've got a couple too many rods that don't have a home. So we're gonna build a rod storage system today. Kind of want to keep them up and out of the way because they do sit around 6 months out of the year, just hanging out. So kind of want them out of the way. I've got some 1x4s in the back that just have been sitting around too. So we're gonna put them together and see if we can't make something a little more user-friendly. I'll show you what I've got here. Got nothing but a mess. So we're gonna try to find a home for these rods. Stay tuned. What a mess. So here's a spot, kind of where I make my jigs and tie flies and whatnot. I'm gonna put them up on the roof here between this joist, roof joist, and this one. It's about 8 feet. So we're gonna get them up there and hopefully we'll have a stack of rods lined out. I'll show you what I've got above my boat I did a couple years ago. I love it. Just before I go boating, I can pick the rods I want and go to town. So we're kind of doing something on that genre. We'll see what happens. Over here we got some 1x4s. Got them out of the coal pile at the depot for cheap. So we're gonna mark some lines and drill some holes. Got a 3.5 inch board, so 1 3/4 inches is my mark. Okay. Now I'm gonna double check things, but I think I can go every 3 inches to center, and it should lay out right. So we'll go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so forth. Okay, so that worked out just right. With a 96 inch board, I've got 3 inches on both ends that aren't being touched, and boom, bunch of rod holders in the middle. Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. "31 rod holders. So let's make that work. Okay, so I just got a couple little screws in my drill. I'm gonna throw a couple screws down random places. Okay, that'll keep everything stable. I'll go get a Forstner bit and a drill. And we'll get to punching some holes. So what I've done here, I got a little Forstner bit and one of my bigger fishing rods as far as the back end goes. And we're gonna throw that in the drill and start drilling some holes. Use a Forstner bit because it doesn't tear your boards up. It'll just kind of go slow and easy. There's not a screw in the tip dragging the bit along, and it's taking small shavings so it's not tearing it up like a normal spade bit would. So we'll start drilling. Okay, got them. We'll pop those screws. Maybe go down to the planer or the table saw. I haven't decided yet. Might plane these down real quick and make them pretty. So I'm gonna run this board through the planer because I can, just kind of clean it up. Okay, we definitely didn't need to do that, but it did clean it up quite a bit. So now we'll run over to the table saw. We know we got 3.5 inches. So 1 3/4 is our center approximately. Inch and 3/4, we'll split that. Okay, let's roll with this. Okay, so I got the board split. I'm going to be using a 3-inch T25 to go into my rafters. So I'm just going to pre-drill that so I don't put any stress on this little piece of wood here. I don't want to split. My boards are about 2 inches. I'm going to make my centers on these 1 inch. And we'll just guesstimate centers here. Flip my boards around and we'll do this end now. Notice we're going a little slow there and getting rid of our shavings as we go. We're going right through a knot right there. So this is definitely a good place to put a pilot. I am going to put a ceiling here eventually, so I'm going to make some blocks to bring these boards down a little bit so that when I put my ceiling up, it'll still work and function properly. So let's go cut some boards for that. With ice rods, I should be able to put a board about yay on the left here, on your right, and one about there, and we should be happy. So that looks about like a 1 foot center. Okay, so as you can see, I've got some lights over here to deal with. So I think what I'm going to do is try to hang my rods to where they stay away from those lights. And we're looking at something like this. So we'll have all the reels in a line on the high side here. Okay, so I decided I only needed about 1 foot separation between the 2 rod holders. That'll put the reel in between and catch the butt of the rod and the rod itself. So I'm going to take this and we're just going to pretty much knock it in half and call it good. Actually, I'll just knock it into about a 12-inch piece. And we'll go 13 for good luck. Okay, so there's our boards. Let's go put them up. I probably don't need to pre-drill these, but we've got the technology. Let's just do it. Just gonna come down in a random area here, random area here. We want to keep these ends clear because that's where our rod holders are gonna end up. So just eyeball that, eyeball that. Let's go put those up. Yes, I've already lost the tape measure I started with. If I don't start a job, oh there it is. If I don't start a job with 10 tape measures, something's wrong. So I'm just gonna measure probably about, I don't know, right into there, 6 inches. Yeah, 6 inches, and we'll put that board in. And I'm gonna measure in 1 inch on these so I don't split the wood, and just so I'm consistent. Okay, there's my 1 inch marks. Think I better go get a helper for this long span. Okay, so I found my buddy here, Cash. He's gonna help me hold the dumb end of this board. What do they call it, the dumb end, Cash? Shut up, Dad. Okay, you ready? So there we have it. Thanks, Cash. So for that center piece up here, I'm just gonna grab 2 5-inch screws and just pre-drill it clear through the rod holder. I've got a big enough drill bit that my screw will be free to slide up and down. And so that way I'm just gonna snug it up as tight as I feel I want, and it'll just bear some weight. Okay, so I've pre-drilled these holes here and put some screws in just as high as I wanted. They'll bear weight, but they're just floating free. I could put a piece of wood there, but it would get in the way of a fishing rod right on this center mark, so I may as well have an extra rod, and these screws are totally out of the way. So once I do get the ceiling boards above, I'm going to drop it another 4 inches. I did the same thing out on my boat, and it's pretty easy to get them in and out. But so far I'm getting really happy, because you know how these rods are getting, one broken rod tip will ruin me for about a month or two. I'll just be so mad about it. Last year on the lake, I forgot to put some rods away and busted a couple tips on some of my favorite rods, and it just still irks me to this day. So this will be a good little project for me to get these things out of the way for the summer, and they'll be ready to go for next season. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Nothing fancy. Like I say, I got that board at the coal pile at Home Depot for probably, I'll bet I paid 27 cents for it, because you get them for 75% off if they're painted purple. So good tip to go back to the Home Depot coal pile, especially these days. But I'll bet these days that coal pile doesn't last long. You could redesign this a little bit so you just had to plug them up and in. I've seen that. For what I'm doing, it's just a little more complicated than I wanted to get. So I'm kind of a type Z personality instead of a type A. The lazy man's guide to success right here. So yeah, it might not be a bad idea to even have 8 or 10 inches. So you can just whip them up there like that and clear the reel over the top of this board. So I'm liking it. All right. So just like that, we're done with that rod holder. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for all your support.